Hey everyone, my name is Ren and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a simple, easy video, just a simple tutorial on how I do overlays. Now this is me. I'm very weird and I take shortcuts that make sense to me, but they might not make sense to you. So we'll just have to see how that works out. In the comments, people might tell me that, oh, blank, blank, blank is easier, or blah, blah, blah. But this is, the way I make overlays and thumbnails is just what makes sense to me and how I use it. That might not be the same for everybody. Now, as you can see, I have a whole bunch of layers, and I guess I should preface this by saying that the first thing I do is I use, the program I use is Paint Tool Sai. I know Photoshop's very, a popular one. I don't use that. I think it's too complicated, in my opinion. I just like to use a simple, basic program that gets me kind of a similar result in the end. So we have an already done overlay that I made. I made this one just for practice. There isn't a particular reason why I made it. Again, just for practice. And so this is like the basis of what I'm gonna start through. I'm gonna go layer by layer and explain to you how I did it, what I did, and yada yada yada. And we have a blank canvas right here. The first layer is nothing. I can delete that. So the first thing I did was I picked a image off of Google and I put it as a background. You can see this is cut out. This isn't something you have to do. I just did it because I plan to put this in a portfolio, quote unquote, this overlay, and it's nicer to just go ahead and cut these spaces out. So I mean that's what I did, but this is just a general picture. You want to go with what you think your aesthetic is. For instance, I really like pastel colors, I like blues, I like pinks, very light colors, and this type of, you can't really see it what it is, but it's just like an anime background that's like free, like that's not copyrighted. And it's just a simple background that's really pretty and nice and blue, and I already had a theme I wanted to go ahead and do for this particular overlay. And the theme of this overlay was Wattson from Apex Legends. But so I wanted to make sure I had a blue overlay because that's what her, main color is, or the quote-unquote the color of electricity kind of thing is blue. So I went ahead and chose a nice pretty blue background that I wanted. And then after that I put, and this is what I put in almost all my thumbnails as well, you can see this slightly like, you can see it more if I do this. This is a lined background, or this is just lines. That when you cast an overlay on it, it just gives this transparent look that looks really nice in contrast against a background. It makes it look a lot more textured, and that's what I do personally. And I mean, that's step one, is getting a decent background. You can do things like filter and blur your backgrounds to make them less noticeable, I guess. I didn't want to do this for this background. I thought it looked nice, crisper, but that's what I do for almost all my thumbnails. The next thing I did was, you can see that I have this shadow over here. It's supposed to be where I had a border. Now I'm gonna show you how I make borders. It's a little more complicated in Paint Tool Sai than it is in Photoshop, in my opinion. But I just make like a box. I color the box in. Go to new layer, and like that box is blue. I go to, and again, this is all just Paint Tool Sai settings. In my opinion, if you have Photoshop, it's a lot easier because your outlines are going to be on different layers, whereas for me, I have to actually I'll have to do an outline. I make sure the outline's a different color that's in stark contrast to this color, and then I use my magic of my select tool, and I select this, and I control, and I paste it. And then you can take away the box, and yeah, it's there. If you notice that the blue's still here, you can see it. I don't really, if it's for something that I made for Mecha, I tend to just select it, and I just tend to do this. And I delete it. But normally I don't really care because it's so minuscule that I just colored in with whatever border color I want the box to be, because it's just so tiny and it's not going to make much of a difference in terms of whether you can or can't see gameplay. Or chat or whatever. So that's what I do personally, and then, I mean, I added effects onto this. For instance, I kind of gave this like a neon look, you can see, and I did this because that's my aesthetic that I like. I like LEDs, I like really pretty colors, really pretty lights, so I mean, that's just what I did. I did a simple, for here, I copied and pasted the border. I changed it to, I basically did this. Copy to paste it, I changed it to being like a blue, I changed the, so these settings over here that I'm looking at right now, these are really, really important, in my opinion. They're important for art and they're important for design work, because they just make your life a little easier. Don't rely on these, because it's still important to learn fundamentals, but these are things that just make it a little bit easier, so you don't have to fumble around with different colors. And now it looks white, it looks basically the same as before. I blurred. And it gives this, like, nice aesthetic look. It's gonna look the exact same because, well, one, I have to unlock it, but it's gonna look basically the same except for a little brighter because I already have one underneath. But it gives us, like, a neon look. And that's what I did for this thumbnail, or for this overlay. Next, I did a simple, like, most of what I have of my, like, arsenal for design work is a little, like here, this is just lightning transparent, I think, is what I searched in Google, and that's it. As long as it's not copyrighted, you're good. I mean, so that's what I did here, right? Like, it's just lightning that's transparent that I just put over here. And Watson's main ability is, like, or she works with lightning a lot, so that's why I chose this particular kind of aesthetic to go for. So the next thing I did was I put a character in. I think that's just a really cute, nice touch to your overlay. This is not something you have to do, but this is what I did. Originally, I put Watson in, but it was a fan art of Watson, which means it wasn't official. And I don't like to use official artwork, because official artwork tends to be artwork that it's copyrighted, but creator, like not creators, the company tends to let you use it anyways. For instance, like a lot of Heroes artwork is in thumbnails. Like Heroes doesn't really care whether I use that in thumbnails. In fact, it just spreads it even more. But I don't want to use somebody's personal artwork, especially somebody that's a smaller creator. So instead, what I did was, I'm not going to show it to you because, again, I don't know if they'd feel comfortable with that. I asked them. I went to their Twitter, and I sent them a real quick message asking them if I could use that particular artwork in an overlay, and if they were okay with that as long as I gave credit. That's very, very, very important with design work. If you're using artwork that belongs to a particular person, such as fan art, you need to ask for credit for using it. If you like, even if you don't even get repercussions from it, it's not a nice thing to do. I mean, it's just mean. It's just rude, and I don't personally see you as being a creator if you do that. So instead, I just, like, for when I pulled this up, I got a picture of a commissioned artwork I got of my avatar, which is very, very adorable. I'm gonna put the link to the Twitter in the in my description below, and I'll also just show the Twitter on the screen real fast. And that's what I did. And I basically, for the chat box that you saw earlier, I basically just did the same thing with the border, except for I actually kept the box, but I lowered the opacity so you could actually see a clear box. You did a border, shine, and then wrote the word chat so you know where everything, like, so that you know that's a chat. I don't know why this is mandatory. I think in my personal opinion, it just looks better. And so this is a completed artwork that I did. Now you can also do, like, smaller things. For instance, in almost all of my thumbnails, you'll see that above the, like, in the background, you'll see that I have these borders. This is not anything original by no means, by the way. I like, another good example of a YouTuber that does this is, Jaden Animations. She does this in her videos, or in her thumbnails. But this is just something I do as well. I think it looks really pretty. I tend not to do it in overlays simply because the box tends to cover so much of it. Oh, here, you know what you can do? I tend not to do it in overlays because this right here tends to cover so much of it up, and I don't really like the way it looks when I don't know. It just, I don't tend to do it in overlays. But yeah, that's like a general format for an overlay I would make. So you may wonder, like, right here my character's blocking gameplay view. That's not a really big deal. Especially with games where it doesn't matter how much, well, like, it matters how much you see, but as long, like, let's say you're making the overlay for yourself, as long as you can see it, people in your chat should be okay. It's not the biggest deal in the world. If it becomes a problem, with the way I do my system in OBS, you just do that, and then you have just a regular overlay with no anime character or no character at all. But to me, this just looks cuter, I guess. I mean, it helps that I have really cute artwork of my avatar. But, so now you may be wondering, okay, how do you put this in OBS? Well, I'm not going to show you my OBS, because I'm lazy, but I will show you how to put it in OBS. So this is kind of weird because the bad thing about Paint Tool Sai is what I'm about to show you. I haven't figured out a way to do this personally, but I have to go into here, layer, merge visible layers, and it merged the two backgrounds together. So now this was one background, I just label it layer 1. So now I do this, layer, merge visible layers. Oh wait, no. Alright, so now you have like a general idea of how I do it. And this puts everything, and it looks the exact same, into just into 4 separate layers. And I don't know if it's easier. I mean, I really don't. But the way I do this is like for instance with Mecha's videos, he imports every single layer into OBS, and then he puts the gameplay behind like specific layers I have. And then I could just merge all of these layers together. And then I could just slap the background right here, or the gameplay right here, and it would work because, I mean, this part right here is transparent. And it's going to stay transparent when I upload it into OBS as well, as long as I save it in the right format. But yeah, that's my small, simple tutorial for how to make an overlay. Yeah, I guess that's the end of my tutorial. A tutorial, I guess, like, in quotations. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's like a little out there. Again, I have like a what makes sense to me kind of way of doing things. It doesn't make sense to everybody, and I think that's okay. As long as it makes sense to me and it's decently fast for me, I've been able to work around Paint Tool Sai a lot faster than things like Photoshop. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed me, I guess. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you want to give me tips and tricks for Paint Tool Sai, again, I don't plan on using Photoshop. 1, because it's really expensive, and 2, just too complicated for my needs. I don't need something as complicated as that. You can put suggestions down below. And yeah, I guess if you like my channel, subscribe. This is very out of the norm. I don't normally do like tutorials because I don't really think I'm not the best in any particular thing, so I don't think I deserve to do tutorials, but I had somebody ask me to do this, so I thought it would be easier just to make a video than to make a whole like paragraph by paragraph explanation on how I do things. Anyways, thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!